Good evening and welcome to Flat Earth United Live with me, Nathan Oakley. If you're new to this channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon to keep up to date with all things Flat Earth related on Nathan Oakley 1980. Shortly I will be hopefully joined by Jeremy, otherwise known as Gempanda, to discuss a bit of an idea that I'm considering doing, so I'm going to see if I can get him on Plus. Let's see if I can call him. Worked? We shall see. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Let me just check that the audience can hear you. I've never used Google Hangouts, as it's called, for this purpose. Same as Hangouts on air, but actually using it. Say check, check, check or something.
Check, 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 check.
Perfect, perfect. Yes, they can hear you. They've just got a boring black screen, so I might put it on me. Or I might find the chat if we get any. Okay, I want to run an idea by you, and it was you that gave me the idea based on what you said in Pete Shea's chat a moment ago. So
Sure.
you were sort of harking back to the good old days when people used to actually debate 24/7, and there was always shows running.
That was great.
Well, that was what the sort of nostalgia that you spoke of it with was what made me think. Well, yeah, I must admit I enjoyed those days. The thing that I didn't enjoy was the lack of any decent moderation, and that's not strictly true because there were shows that were reasonably well moderated, but on the whole, they weren't. I think you'll agree.
Right, yeah, that's true.
And these
Definitely
days
true.
we've got Dread, and you could probably name a longer list than I could, but there's people that are, how can I put this kindly, too biased. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think that I think they're pretending to debate, really. They in the case of Dredd, for instance, they'll let people in there, but they always let them in sort of one at a time. There'll be a sort of a gang of them sort of pouncing on them, and a lot of what he does is ridicule. He's played jingles and that sort of thing, and it's not. You can't really call that debate. Well, you can't call that debate at all. And similarly, the other person I would charge with this would be Dal. I think he's, does a similar sort of thing. He's created a little echo chamber. Usually, he takes people on almost single-handed, but not always. His guy Teen usually butts in at some point if it gets heated, and usually mutes people and then Dell and he, abuse them. so yeah, I think. Sorry, I'm going on a bit, but yeah, I'll go on. It's so unfair, but yeah, I
Well,
think
I'm not here to get you to list out a load of things that you hate about any individual. More specifically about the. I see there's an opportunity or an opening for the debate to continue in a cordial manner, and I don't know, without sounding big-headed, I think that's something that I could inject. Without actually injecting necessarily my own opinion at all. In other words, I'm often more happy to stand back and watch people debate rather than offer up my opinion, which obviously everybody's got an opinion. But I prefer to watch, for example, you or you and whoever debate, and in a free way. I mean, we've now got this technology. We've got OBS, and the Google Hangouts can run without it actually running. In other words, it doesn't matter if it gets sniped. You just start a new one. But with a few very simple rules, which would be to say that if it gets to the point where I would have to interject and kick somebody, I'd only ask that they just didn't come back for that show. Probably no swearing, because swearing tends to have aggression attached. And that's not to say that I'd be objecting to somebody who in their general patter just says fuck a lot. That wouldn't bother me. It's more that when people start to get sweary, they tend to get aggressive.
I agree. I totally agree.
But little things like that, I think, if with literally just a couple of really simple rules, and me hopefully being able to stand by my word and say no. Even if I do have a strong bias towards flat Earth, I would keep that buttoned, and also interject when there is nonsense afoot. I'm happy to say when both sides of the argument talk shite, and both often do, and I'm more than happy to call it. So in other words, I like to think that I'm a little bit unbiased in some ways when it comes to the arguments. I don't know.
I think that's true. I think you've demonstrated that a few times. Yeah. So
I'd hope so. I just think I've got a secondary channel. In other words, it's going to be heated. There's going to be people that get angry. I know it's going to be controversial. But by the same token, if I run it on a slightly smaller channel, so it's not my main channel, and literally I can now stick the link for technically the Hangout into the chat and say, come one, come all. If people want to go toe to toe with you or Tim Osman or whoever is in the chat at that particular time, I'm going to sit back and watch it happen, and hopefully not have to eject people. Moreover, eject people because they disagree with my opinion, which is what you see all the time, and that's not what I want to particularly do. I just want to see people actually debate, because I think it will actually drive some of these arguments forward, and that is positive. So I don't know. I got you here because it was your idea, and I think you're saying I would really enjoy that, and I think you would probably be a participant. Am I wrong?
Oh gosh, yeah, I'd be right there. Yeah, I do. I like a good argument. Yeah, I do.
Debate. You like a good debate?
Yes. Well, I mean, arguments are part of a debate. You present arguments in a debate, don't you? So that's kind of the sense I mean the word.
Well saved. Yeah.
Got out of that one quickly.
Very easily, yeah. But I don't know. I just think it would be nice to have a cordial place that's not led by my bias or a fellow flat earther's bias, because that's what tends to be the problem with most of these chats. The host is so passionate about their point of view that they want to convert every single guest, and I still think there's an opening for maybe I don't know if you'd agree with this, but would you say that FreeChan had this at the start or not?
Yeah, I think it did. Yeah, that was really where it all began, wasn't it? With the very first FreeChan, which was it called FreeChan? I can't remember. There were so many incarnations of it. I can't even remember.
No,
but right at the very beginning, Andrea Sensei was running it.
Yeah, Snack and Yvette.
He or she.
Yeah, they were definitely the
and then they went on holiday, and Yvette looked after it for a bit. Then Yvette kind of took it over. Then Poncho, what's the word? Hijacked it, I think. I don't know. But then he got it, and then he shut it down, sort of thing. Then it was no longer FreeChan. So,
you're talking
and also we
Light.
had the sort of second incarnation of it.
That was FreeChan Light, yeah. When it was Poncho and Vinny, it was FreeChan Light.
Flat Earth Debates or whatever it was called then.
No, Flat Earth Debates was something else altogether. And you've still got one running now. What's the one that runs now?
Oh yeah, there was that one. Flat Earth Debates one was oh gosh, who was it?
Andrea Sensei?
Can't remember the guy's name.
Andrea Sensei?
No, well, he was involved in one of them, the one that I was the manager of, but there was another one with, what's that guy's name? Hitchhiker's Thingy Guide to the Earth or whatever.
Oh, Hitchhiker's Guide to Earth and Snake to the Future.
Yeah, he was involved. I can't remember, but there was a few of them, weren't there, at that time?
Yeah, Hitch, basically.
Yeah, and they were fun. They were fun. I know you used to watch it all the time. I remember you saying at the time you were always in them, and there were fierce chats, battles going on, and it was fun. And then it all seemed to. I think it was Poncho Pete, really. Once he shut that channel down and made it just flat earthers, that sort of idea seemed to spread and seemed to become acceptable, that it was okay to just ban people just because they aren't flat earthers, you know.
Yeah, I kind of know what you mean, but by the same token, I want to keep positive and just talk about what I want to do.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I am bitching a bit, aren't I? It's been a long
it's good.
way.
It's good to know what not to do. And what you're saying is you
But
don't want to circle
you know, I
jerk.
didn't mean to pick on individuals when I started off, but I mean, I chose them because they're people who are sort of claiming to run open panels, you know, that are open for discussion. So that's why I sort of use those as examples.
Fair enough. I just think
You hit the bottle, mate,
it's more
so
positive to say what we do want, and what I want personally is a fairly cordial platform that would be open to all, but with a few simple rules, which is that A, no swearing, and B, if you do get to the point where you get kicked out, which is inevitably going to happen, just don't come back for that show. That would probably be the only rule. In other words, if it's got to that point, the chances are somebody's very emotionally charged for whatever reason, mostly probably because of their faith in whatever they believe in. And if that gets to that stage, then if you've got booted, number one, you can't join with the same account anyway, unless you snipe the show. But if that was the case, it wouldn't matter. There'd be a new show in place. But if you've got to that stage, you're welcome back the next show. You know, when you've calmed down, basically. But other than that, I can't think of any. There's no rules out. There's just you come in and you fight your corner, you put your case. Hopefully, none of it, you know, about people and your problem about somebody who's stolen your bloody idea or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, what fun this will be! So, how often do you think to run it, or all the time, or? Not all the time.
I've only had this idea in the last 5 minutes, so I don't know. I'll chuck it up. It's one of those. I'll play it by ear. I'll probably just chuck one up on I'll figure out how to take the what's it called, the stream key from Nathan Oakley 1980 and put it into Nathan Oakley, just because as an amateur, I'm not going to risk my main channel. It's taken too long to build it up, so I'll do it on my secondary channel initially. And if it goes well, why not? I might eventually do it on the main channel. But yeah, I'll just stick one out, and literally I will fire it up, and I will stick the link in the chat. In other words, come one, come all. And my purpose there won't be to be challenged or to challenge people. It'll be to moderate, and that will be it. You know, I'm all against everybody moderating their chats, but I think when it comes to an actual show, I'd actually probably make a pretty good moderator. So yeah,
I think it works really well with your chat. You know, to have it not moderated like that. I think.
No, most of my flat Earth friends hate it. I assure you.
Right? Yeah.
But I agree. I like my chat.
Bashing for it.
I like my chat, and I think there's a lot of. The main reason is because there's so many things that happen with flat earthers that will be agreed upon by other flat earthers simply because they are flat earthers. You know, I saw this with Sheeps and Neeps. You know, I criticised his production values. You know, low blow, guys knew, but nonetheless, I criticised him, and he was like, "You can't criticise that. I'm a flat earther." And it's like,
yes,
we need a bit of ball mentality sometimes, because it does get farcical in flat Earth. There are some truly bonkers ideas. And I'm sorry about this, Pete Shea. I'm going to have to call you out. It was your show that we got this idea from, so all credit to you. You're getting publicity. This is technically an advert. But yeah, on Pete Shea's show, I was listening to it thinking, if this was translated into a different language, it would literally make less than no sense. You know, it already makes pretty much no sense. But in a different language, you know, it would lose all semblance of meaning. You know, it would just be hysterical to read it in Italian or something. You know, just literally take a transcript of what he was saying. But I don't know. Right. So, Lewis Hackett was in the chat, and it was like, you do realise that everyone in here is just here chatting and not really paying attention to what you're saying. And I was like, well, that's kind of rude, and, you know, at least have the decency to do it behind his back. Come on. You know? But it's just...
Yeah, I had the sound turned down.
I didn't. I was listening, you know, because I do listen to people.
I went to that page, and at no point did I ever turn the sound up.
That's so cruel.
I never heard him speak once, poor Pete. Sorry, Pete, but I like your chat, mate. So that was fun.
But I don't know. It seems pointless. If you're broadcasting and no one's listening, it just seems silly. But that said, I mean, my purpose won't be for people to come on and challenge me on my faith or my belief in flat Earth. That's not the purpose. And by the same token, I will be inviting guests, and hopefully they'll see, regardless of their belief or faith, that I'm on their side. In other words, I do it in the chat. You know, people get crap from ballers, flat earthers, and vice versa, and I'll call it all the same. You know, there's just no need for it. I say it so many times. No need, no need, no need. It's like, God. And it doesn't really fuss me who's giving who grief, you know. Well, it's going to call, but let's name drop a little bit. Why not? So Mark Taylor and Ranty Rant, both spewing vile hatred towards each other, and you're just like, how can this possibly be fun for either of you? You know, it just isn't.
I think Mark at least does find that fun. I can't speak for Ranty, of course, but. I don't know. I mean,
it didn't look fun to me, but
you know,
there we go.
Sometimes it is fun just to sort of lay into people and have a go at them, you know. But having said that, you know, your description of it is sort of vile, and you know, I know sometimes they are over the top. You know, I can't believe they're saying that stuff to each other. You know,
no need. I mean, I'm going to ask some of the chat. That was what my other purpose had. I've not been able to get hold of you. What they think. So. The general question I'm asking, chat, is: do you think this is a good idea? should I try and replicate what so many have failed with so far, and run a come one come all chat where I literally open up a Hangout that doesn't run, unlike the live shows that I've done of date on 1980, and just run it separately on Nathan Oakley, the backup channel, and just say come on come all, here's the link, have at it. Or my purpose will be to stop you getting too out of hand, regardless of which side you represent. So yeah, just let me know in the chat, what do you think? I'll read out some of the comments as well, see who's who, and say hello and thank you for joining us and all that kind of crap. All the free people, hello, good to see you. Chess was first, good to see.
Oh, shout out to Shroomy, by the way.
Shroomy?
Sorry.
Joey,
Shroomy.
Who's your flatty? Farquay. I can never say that. People keep correcting me and I just never remember it when I'm reading it out. I'm sorry. Billy Red. Hi from the UK. Up late, mate, like me. Probably an insomniac. Should really move this so it looks at least like I'm have some semblance of looking at the camera. HSP Gang did an expose. Did you see that on User S record? ODD TV.
Yes, I did, yes.
I mean, disappointing because that came out months ago, and at the time, even people like Patricia, who had been slagged off quite severely by ODD, turned around and immediately said, look, it's in your past, we all forgive you, you know, what's done is done, and just showed a high level of diplomacy. Lots of people did. And then in the last week, he's just backed complete garbage, complete lies. I'm glad I've said all this. That was the point in bringing this up, because so many ballers called that far sooner than flat earthers. Far, far, far sooner. Did you notice that?
As I understood it, what was revealed a few months ago was only part of what HSP Gang revealed, but I may have that wrong because I never really saw what was revealed a few months ago.
We're talking at cross purposes. Sorry, I don't want to talk about Odd particularly. That's boring.
Oh, right.
What I meant was,
sorry.
ODD was spewing bullshit that MGTV had put out there.
Right.
Just nonsense.
Sure.
And loads of people mirrored it, Math Powerland included, and it was just total garbage. It took about 5 minutes of research with a few cursory Google searches to debunk it. And
sure.
The ballers did exactly that, and loads of them were saying it. And the flat earthers,
that was it. It was, I don't know. It's weird because you see, for us, it's sort of a natural thing to sort of, you know, when someone like ODD says something, it's a natural thing to sort of go into the process of disproving what it is he says. So it's kind of just sort of comes naturally, you know, but you know, when I first saw what he presented, I was quite sort of, at first I thought, oh, wow, you know, and then I thought, oh, hold on a minute. And often I think there's so much in the way that something is presented that,
spooky music.
you know, it makes it seem, you know, oh, how, you know, suspicious that is. And then when you think about it, hold on a minute, he's called Mark Sargent and he's got a website called marksargent.com. So what? I mean, if it was called Mark Sargent's Flat Earth and it was registered in 2010, you know, that might be a reason to go, hold on a minute, but it's just called Mark Sargent. And, you know, likewise with the apps, you know, the immediate thing that springs to mind. And you would expect someone like ODD, who's obviously got some media skills, you would expect him to know a little bit about how apps are put together and the fact that templates are used. And do you know what I mean?
Well, no, even without that, because I didn't. And I didn't need to, because once that's a prevalent subject, you start researching it, looking into it.
Right.
The problem is, I mean, I dubbed it Hearsay Gate because it was pretty obvious that people had literally watched the video and then decided that was what was what. And you're like, holy crap, is that really what people are like? Do you just watch one video and go, no need to look any further? All the research has been done for me. It's just like, what? And maybe you're right. Maybe the mentality of the ballers is such that they're looking to debunk things that are being said, and flat earthers are looking to believe. It's just sad but true.
Yeah, I think that may be true. I mean, there's a kind of a bit of a weird flavour to it as I was looking at it, because I was thinking, well, you know, that's wrong. And at the same time, there's a sort of a little bit of you that sort of doesn't want to prevent the downfall of Mark Sargent. Do you know what I mean? You know, that sounds really bitchy, but there is a small part of you that sort of, you know, wants him to sort of be an agent or something, or at least be accused.
That's the reality, though, isn't it? The fantasy is so exciting. You know,
right?
I keep saying this. Please, people, say I am MI6 or whatever. Great.
Right.
You know, MI5 tells us being James Bond, wonderful. The fantasy is wonderful. The reality is dull, really dull. So when the guy came on to Patricia's show yesterday, I mean, I knew the backstory already, but it was dull. No offense to the guy, because if you're into that particular scene, if that was your thing, obviously it would be a fascinating story to go through the process. But I could hear it in his voice. He knew that he was just going through the motions, explaining what he does and how things are, and that isn't really riveting. It's not super exciting. You know, I think is it juxtaposition between flat Earth and globe Earth is so stark that's quite exciting. The discussion about an app and how it comes into development and how it, you know, is essentially keeping shelf space as a yoga app, and then that might not work, so you change it into a, you know, cookery app, and then that maybe, you know, that falls by the wayside. Then it turns into a flat Earth app. That's matter of fact, but dull. It's, you know, it's not really riveting stuff, is it? It's not like talking about space and NASA. That's exciting. Rockets, wow, that's exciting. Apps, less so. But when people talk about it in the context that he's been put in place as an agent, that's super, super romantic. You know, it's super exciting. Not true, but much more exciting than the reality of our world. But this is it, isn't it? We've got something exciting. The juxtaposition between rockets being real and rockets being bloody helium balloons or something is exciting to debate. The talk about whether or not, even if it was true, you know, even if Mark had foreseen this 4 years ahead, I can't spin that out into some exciting story unless he's a CIA shill, and that's so old and tatty. It's boring.
But then, you know, at the same time, there's a bit of poetic justice in it. You know, particularly for someone like Mark, who has proposed all sorts of things, I think, for which he has no evidence. Things, you know, sort of, you know, underground lava pumps and all this sort of stuff that are part of his thing. So, you know, it kind of deserves people making up fantasies about him in a way, because You obviously see it differently, but from my point of view, he's a person who has created and propagated fantasy as if it's fact. So there's
I don't know if I'd agree with you in the respect that, I mean, I've watched Flat Earth Clues several times, and the way it was presented in my mind was that it was a way of making people be able to conceptualize something so radically different to what they'd been told in school. And in order to do that, there are certain elements that you do have to, as you put, inject fantasy into it in order for it to be digestible or understandable. I don't think he necessarily was presenting them as facts. I mean, if you were to really put Mark on the spot, would he say that he thinks there's actually, machines creating lava underneath the earth? I doubt he'd say yes.
No, I don't think he would, and I think that's the point, really, because I think it's kind of, I don't know, maybe you're right, but it seems like he's sort of presenting that idea as if it's fact, but then not really doing that. I don't know. That doesn't really make sense, does it?
What you're saying is he's too vague, and he should be specific.
I don't know. It's Flat Earth Clues to me, it seems like sort of an amalgamation of movie scripts. It's like he's took a bit of this movie and a bit of that science fiction movie and sort of stuck them all together and used science fiction movies as well through, referred to science fiction movies throughout as well to sort of back up the idea that he's presenting. So I understand what you mean. It's sort of it's like a fiction to describe a fact, if you like.
Yeah,
that's what you're saying?
Well, it's just a way I'm probably repeating myself, but just being able to make you conceptualize something that is so radically different. I mean, that's not how I woke up to Flat Earth, so I'm kind of playing devil's advocate when I fight this corner, because that's not how I came to the idea. Right. It wasn't even through Mark. So when I hear people's story, which I've heard a lot about them hearing Mark's, I kind of more associate it to No Trees, and that's no disrespect to Mark, in the respect that when I first watched it, I went, interesting ideas, and then a few hours later, everyone actually believes it. You're like, whoa, that's how I felt about the Clues, and I saw their benefit in terms of, most people haven't done a shitload of international travel, most people haven't spent hours and hours staring out of plane windows. So for me, conceptualizing it wasn't an issue at all. For most people, it probably is, because they've only got the TV to go on. And what's he trying to unpick their programming with? This is all from my biased perspective. Well, he's got the TV screen or iPad or phone, whatever the modern equivalent is. So, he's fighting fire with fire, and he's undoing fantasy with fantasy. You could critique that really easily. You could criticize it really easily. I think he was really clever. I honestly, hand on heart, I'd love to know how I felt if it was the first video I'd watched or the first series. That I may feel totally differently about it. I don't think it would have turned me into a fantasist, though. I think my level head would have remained exactly as it is. But maybe that's your point. Maybe you're saying that for some people, it's turned them into fantasists because that's they've replaced one reality with another, and it's not clear that that's just an idea. It's just speculation. So am I putting words in your mouth? Is that your point?
Sort of. I think there's certainly an element of that in people's belief. I mean, I'm not sure if there's anyone out there that's totally committed to Flat Earth solely on what Mark's presented, but I think it makes up part of the the meme, for want of a better word. So yeah, and I think you're right, though. I think it is very clever. I think it's very, very well done indeed. And I think it was Tim actually that told me that one of the things that he really liked about it was just the way in which it was released. The fact that he sort of released a new one every week, and people were sort of waiting for it to come out, and I think that was, cleverly done, if you like. To I think I've since heard from someone else that that's a sort of a good technique to build views on and subs on a channel. So who knows? And I'm not knocking the guy for trying to do that. I would love to have more views and subs on my channel. so that's all good.
Is that so? I mean, I must admit your moonproof video must have took some work. So I suppose I'm asking the obvious. You must be looking for subs and views, and that's why you're here, making videos.
Yeah, partly. Yeah, I mean, I guess I think once you're making content, you kind of you want subs and views. Although I have to say, I mean, having said that, I pay almost no interest in them. I don't know how many subs I've got, and I don't really. I do know which is my most watched video, because Mr. B was going through the other day and told me. So. But I don't, but yeah, I do. I mean, obviously, once if you make stuff, you want people to watch it, and it is gratifying when, you see, hundreds and hundreds of people have watched what you've made. I know hundreds doesn't sound many, and you've obviously got thousands of subs and what have you. So, but it's still
this is a new thing for me. Very, very new. This is since Flat Earth. So I've been on YouTube 10 years. And for the most part, the videos that I would produce would get single-digit views, very, very few numbers. And that was like that for years. And all I wanted to do was be a successful videographer. And then Flat Earth came along. I continued to make videos, changed the subject from hi-fi to Flat Earth, but just kept the exact same level of passion, and suddenly got subscribers. But it wasn't...
Right.
But that was my purpose 10 years ago, the same as it is now. I mean, I'm not ashamed in the slightest to say... first and foremost, I'm here as a YouTuber. That's what I like doing. I like making videos. The fact that I'm making them about Flat Earth just means that Flat Earth is interesting to me at the moment. But if you look through my video history, most of it's like stuff with the Gadget Show and stuff about hi-fi and tech. And
yeah, I've seen those. Yeah. I mean, my project, I think I've mentioned it before, but my current project that I'm working on is a history of Flat Earth.
Oh, wow. Cool.
So
that is cool.
Yeah.
Because I've said this many a time. Some of the what was the terminology I used earlier? Not globehead. Forgot what I said. Baller. That's the one. Some of the ballers are my most avid fans. They have watched every single video. They know every detail of every point of view that I've had, every opinion or every belief I've ever stated, every contradiction that I have ever perpetrated has been documented in the annals of history by globeheads. Well, they may not like my opinions, but they're definitely watching them avidly, and I can only thank them. I thank them profusely. This is partially why I want to do this. It's like... half of my fans are globeheads. There's no two ways about that. And not the run-of-the-mill people stumbling on the video and going, you flat-tarred idiot. Not that type of globehead. I mean somebody that's actually genuinely interested in, why do I hold this opinion? As opposed to, well, you're just nuts. Like normal Joe Regular would think. As opposed to that, there's the people out there that know the arguments inside out, back to front. Know the debunkings for the flat earth argument, and often for the globe argument as well. You're one of them. Tim Osman's one of them. There's loads of people out there that know both sides of the argument, inside out, back to front, upside down and inside out. And those people, some of them will just antagonise, but it's still entertaining. And as I say, as a YouTuber, you think, well, would I interject if the debate was running now and there was 6 or 7 people and I was sat back just literally just watching and paying attention to whether or not they were swearing at each other, and Tim Osman started to fight the argument for the moon upside down, going across the equator. Now you and I both know he knows that's bullshit. He knows, I know, you know, but the chances are the person he's debating with won't know. That's why he's doing it. Now I'd be all for sitting back and just watching. And just, it's like these people are having a baptism of fire, especially if someone like Tim Osman was on the panel at the time. And why shouldn't they? Why shouldn't they have that rude awakening to how little knowledge we all have about this subject when we first enter it? Because that That's what I had. You know, that's what most
Yeah,
people
and
have
it's
had.
really the only way that you sort of learn it, you know. And I had my baptism, if you like, in the atheist Christian debate. You know, I used to I was involved in that. Not as involved as I was in this, but as I have been in this, but sort of on the periphery of it. But you soon take a right hammering in there, and they don't care who you are. That you know what I mean. There are sides, you know, but the atheists won't look after another atheist. if he says something stupid, they'll, you know, that can't be supported, or that's they spot a fallacy, they'll tell you, you know. And you know, you learn quickly when you're under fire like that, you know. And you know, going away from the hangout with your tail between your legs, feeling like you were, you know, cornered or made to, you know, you couldn't defend your position.
Yeah, Anthony Riley has a great story about that. He was telling me about, he was in I think it was a comment section or a chat room maybe. I can't remember, but in some way or another, he was in contact with Red's rhetoric, and he's debating his point as a newbie with Red, and Red sticks a hyperlink in. So Anthony Riley clicks on the hyperlink, gets a little script that says, "Do you want to join?" And he says yes. Next thing you know, he's live on air with Red's rhetoric debating flat Earth. You're like, oh, that's priceless. You know, second or third day in flat Earth, and you're like, there's no curvature, man. There's just none. And then you're up against Red.
Yeah,
brilliant.
That would be yeah, definitely a baptism of fire. That one.
Okay. I think I've summed it up. I will have another quick say hello to the chat and thank them all for being here, and then I'm going to round out. I think I've got my answer. I'm going to do this in some small fashion.
Let's do it, man.
See how it goes.
I'm up for it.
So yeah. So be aware at some stage. If you're not subscribed already, you should. If this sort of thing appeals to you. If you don't, I know there's people out there like my good friend Dina Walker, who this will not appeal to. But if it does appeal to you, subscribe to Nathan Oakley channel. It's just Nathan space Oakley. I'll put a link in the info box below this video once it renders. And stick a subscription and click the bell notification icon on Nathan Oakley, and you'll be updated when I have one of these open forums, whatever you want to call them. I don't know what I'll call it. I'll come up with a name and I'll stick it in the chat. You'll get a notification, and if you want to join, I will spam the chat with the link for the Google Plus Hangout. If you come and snipe it, we'll just start another one. It'll be fairly straightforward to do, so there's no fear in that regard. So yeah, thanks Issa and Multi Tom, John Watson, good to see you all. Tom Foolery. Is that Tom Foolery of the International Space Stage? Has he just shortened his name? Maybe. Morky Love, good to see you. Issa Mahalski, thanks for being here. Louis Hackett, good to see you. Level-headed A4, most of your messages are being auto-deleted A4 by Google. Nothing to do with me, but they won't make it on screen. So if you chat something and it doesn't appear on screen, there's a good chance, if you've been really rude, that it's not me moderating it. I don't need to anymore. Another reason why I want to do this. Jibby Jedi, good to see you. Got Loco Tomo tuning in live. I think I'm reaching the end. That must be it. Usually Flatty. I've said hello to a few of these people already. Joker Earth, hello. My nigger Nathan crushing it. Thank you very much. David Marsh, good to see you. That's it. But yeah, messages like Allah is a pedo won't make it through A4. They're just not going to make it through the filter, I promise. Just chat nice and your messages will get through. Okay, that's pretty much it. Was there anything else you wanted to add, Jeremy? Anything you want to plug? Give us your full channel name. That's for a start. Give us your full channel name,
mate, and I'll be there.
What's your full channel name?
It's Gempanda 2012.
Cool. So a big, massive thank you to Jeremy, aka Gempanda 2012. I'll also stick a link in the info box to Jeremy's channel so you can subscribe for all sorts of crazy nonsense about the Earth being spherical. In the meantime, as I've said many a time before, be sure to hit the subscribe button and make sure you leave a comment in the box below once the video has rendered. I've been Nathan Oakley. I'll see you all in the next video.